live from the Richard Harris Law Firm studios.
Yeah, we looked nervous in the first period. We were slow. Second period was night and day. First period, we were making way too many D-to-D plays, looking for a partner and playing sideways. Second period, so much better as far as just playing north and playing up the ice. Gave us quite a bit of momentum.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Third period, some good stuff. We got a little stubborn at the blue lines late in the game. Instead of just playing north, went sideways with it. It almost cost us. So we'll look at some tape and continue to teach and trying to get as I said this morning, trying to get the right mindset, an aggressive mindset of playing north and playing simple.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
They are back in the win column. John Tortorella wins his Golden Knights coaching debut. Vegas 4, Vancouver 2.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Welcome in, Vegas Golden Knights Insider Show, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Ryan Wallace, Darren Millard, Jared Justice, live inside the Richard Harris Law Firm studios. Richard Harris Law Firm, where they've won billions for their clients with their less fee guarantee. Golden Knights win in John Tortorella's debut. How we doing, boys?
Pretty good. Got a W. Back on the winning track.
Yeah.
Points in all three games to start this 4-game homestand. So keep that in mind. You're starting to get when you didn't like the overtime or the shootout loss at the time, but you look back now and you got a little bit of traction there with Calgary coming up, and then you go on the road with a little bit of confidence to face the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. And it's not perfect. It wasn't perfect last night, but you saw steps in the right direction. I was with what John Tortorella said, Torts, during the game with Ashley Weiss, and then afterwards that they were a little nervous in the first period. And I think that just came from partly where they've come from in being so tight with everything happening around them and being in that flat spot and not wanting to make a mistake and then trying to impress the coach. And it can manifest itself in different ways. Sometimes you do things out of character, do things that you wouldn't normally do. I thought there was a little bit of that in the first period, or nerves, where you don't want to make a mistake because the new coach. Yeah, there's definitely some of that, more of that than stepping outside your game. John Tortorella addressed it during the first intermission, made the lineup change in switching Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner, and then they were really good in the second period. Third period, a more even frame, but they found a way to one, come back from a couple of deficits. Love that from the team, because if there hadn't been the change, Ryan, you know what everybody on the bench or the rink would have been thinking. Here we go again. Mm-hmm. That just would have been the human element to it. But because there's a new guy running the bench, we're down one. Let's get it back. There's a whole lot of that. I could feel that in the building. Maybe I'm manifesting itself, but I just got a different look from how the team played after the goal. When they went down 1-0, when they went down 2-1, they were certainly in more control. In the second period was fantastic, scoring the 3 goals. In the third period, they found a way to hold on. They battled back and took the lead, and unlike the Washington game, they didn't give up the goal in a 6-on-5 situation or an odd man situation, power play or extra attacker. And it wasn't the cleanest game in the world, but it was encouraging by all accounts. And I like that. And when I say it wasn't the cleanest game in the world, you're not going to have that perfect game. But I thought that there was enough positive elements out of that game to really be encouraged going forward.
Yeah, I think, I expected some of that nervousness in the first period, right? Like it had been a whirlwind for the players, and Tortorella even spoke to it yesterday morning about how it's not going to be the easiest game to go out and play with everything that's happening, compartmentalizing, all of those things. So I expected it was going to be a little clunky for Vegas in the first period. But, you want to talk about proof of concept and how John Tortorella wants them to play. You've got that now on tape in the second period. I thought that they were really good in battling back, in playing north, up the ice, simplified, all of it. And you can just sense the Golden Knights were coming in that second period. And they get 3 goals. They get a lead going to the third period. And that in and of itself is just something that's been pretty rare recently. So to be able to have that lead going to the third was massive for the team yesterday.
In a lot of ways, the game was similar to what we've seen recently from the Vegas Golden Knights. They controlled the game from a Dana standpoint in shots allowed, in ozone play, in high danger chances, in opportunities in the slot. We've seen a lot of that from the Golden Knights post-Olympic break. But in a lot of those games, they were down 2 goals, 3 goals, because they were giving up the chance at the wrong time, or they weren't getting a save at the right time. But they weren't able to convert. Last night, they capitalized on a couple of chances that were really important. And the goals didn't come from the superstars last night. There was depth. And when I say the goals didn't come from superstars, I realize but Shea Theodore is an Olympian. He's a really good player, but he scored. But that's from a defensive unit that hasn't produced as much as in years past. Rasmus Andersson scores in the second straight. That continues his strong play, where we've talked about he's in the midst of a really good stretch for the Vegas Golden Knights. There was Riley Smith scoring on just an absolutely perfectly manufactured goal. If you want to know what a coach is looking for when they say get pucks in deep and forecheck, that was the prototypical example. Riley Smith throwing it in on the right side from center ice, going all the way around. Tomas Hertl does a great job with a leave. Looks like he's going to play it. Leaves it for Braden McNabb. While the puck's going around the boards, into the zone and around the boards, Riley Smith just gets on his horse, goes deep. Braden McNabb sends it across, catches the Vancouver Canucks flat-footed, and the Golden Knights manufactured a goal. But Cole Smith, Riley Smith, Rasmus Andersson, and Shea Theodore scored your goals last night. That's encouraging on a night where we saw some great jump out of Marner, Barbashev, and Stone immediately. Yeah. And I really liked Pavel Dorofeev on that line with Jack Eichel. I thought that they had some really good some hops last night as they got going. So and it's funny because the Marner Stone combination is something we saw a lot of at the Olympic Games.
Absolutely.
For Canada. So there's familiarity there, but they hadn't gone that way a lot, but it's always been there. Last night, John Tortorella made that switch after the first period, and it was a coaching decision that kind of got them jump-started in the right direction.
Yeah, it moved them in the right direction. It moved the needle offensively for them. Like, as soon as you put that line together of Marner, Stone, and Barbashev, they create a tremendous look for Mark Stone that he's unable to finish. And then, Mitch Marner has that look between his legs that is created just in front of the goal. Like, that line was generating chance after chance after chance. And so, I think it's definitely something I want to see again. I would be surprised to some degree if John Tortorella goes away from it, just because it did provide a bit of a spark. And to your point about Eichel and Howden and Dorofeev, Howden and Eichel, there's speed with both of those players. I thought Jack was attacking the middle of the ice a little bit more than what we're accustomed to seeing him do in a regular game. And it laid off a couple of looks, a couple of chances for Pavel Dorofeev, one in tight and one in transition. So I like the tweak. I like the change. I'd like to see more of it.
Well, you heard from Torts that he wants to play fast.
Yeah,
and how that can be manifest itself in different ways, but the changes that he put in going into last night, there's some D zone adjustments for the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think you'll see them as patient to let the opposition control the puck on the outside. And allow those shots from the outside, and I don't mind that philosophy that the Golden Knights had played under for the last 4 years of allowing those shots if they're going to control the puck on the outside and just be comfortable with the opposition from a low danger spot on the ice. Last night we saw more of an example of the Vegas Golden Knights being more on their front foot in the defensive zone of pressuring the Vancouver Canucks. And as far as playing fast, that's moving the puck. I thought the defensemen skated with the puck more last night than we've seen, but and obviously they got up ice with Shea Theodore's goal, jumping in and taking the feed from Ivan Barbashev, who, by the way, did an amazing job with one hand on his stick to disrupt the play on the sideboards and then get the puck away from the Vancouver Canuck defenseman and slide it over. It's overlooked on that play. Everybody wants to talk about the stone pass and the finish by Shea Theodore, but Barbashev was fantastic in that play. But Theodore jumping in, Rasmus Andersson going down low. Those are good examples of being involved. The blue line scored a couple goals, but the whole D to D pass kind of thing and setting up your zone exit. That's something that John Stevens will be coaching his defensive unit with obviously emphasis coming from Torts that they don't want D to D. They want going north. Less east-west, more going north. Whether you're skating the puck or you're moving the puck up ice, and just trying to catch the opposition in the most vulnerable position.
Yeah, I mean you're wanting to pressure, right? Like you want to pressure the opposition, and the best way to do that is to put the puck into areas or push the puck up the ice when they're not necessarily set up. And it's not always going to work out that way that you can catch the opposition off guard, but the fact of the matter is, if you can kill more plays in your own defensive zone and get pucks out of your own zone quicker, you're not spending and expending energy defending as much as maybe you would previously. So you should be fresher for offensive chances, but you should also be able to not allow the opposition to get kind of set up in what they want to do, defending you through the neutral zone and then obviously in the defensive zone. So in a lot of ways, if that's one of the tweaks we see from John Tortorella moving forward, just kind of killing more plays and getting north faster, I think that will be a big improvement for this team.
Want some numbers from last night's game?
Always. Love numbers.
Just talked about some of the analytics, and there's been games where Vegas has really tilted the ice lately. And not got enough out of it to win games. But last night was 3-2 with an empty netter. Should have been. It felt like they deserved a more comfortable victory last night. And Kevin Lankinen was good for the Vancouver Canucks in goal. Vancouver made a couple of line changes that left them open and just susceptible to the Golden Knights. Vegas was fortunate. There was a couple plays early, certainly, that got into the middle of the ice that they were able to counter. One great play by Jack, who was tracking back, who was able to disrupt the play. But here's some numbers. Expected goals. This is from the Sportslogic analytics that I'm privy to. Vancouver expected goal was 1.5. They scored 2, so 1.5 was good defensive play from the Vegas Golden Knights, and the expected goals for the VGK was over 4.
Nice.
So
I mean,
you're right. You're right on target there.
Yeah.
With what you scored, with what you were expected to score, but you don't always see this. In fact, it's rare that the expected goals and the score ends up virtually identical.
Yeah,
1.53 for Vancouver, so round that up marginally, I know, but you get to 2. Puck in ozone time. There was a game a couple of weeks ago where Vegas had the puck. I think it was the Nashville game. They had the puck in the Predator zone 30 minutes. It was so lopsided. Last night it was 27.5 minutes played in the Canucks zone to 19 in the VGK zone.
Yeah.
So you're almost 10 minutes more in the ozone. Ozone possession time just shy of double, 9 minutes to 5 minutes. So you're going to get the indication here that it was a fully controlled game. 34-24 were the shots. Slot driving plays, 45-16. Middle of the ice, high danger chances, 26-8. That's as one-sided as you will see in the National Hockey League. So even strength, expected goals were 4 to 1.2. That's really encouraging for Vegas.
Yeah.
5-on-5, because we like what we've seen out of the power play and the penalty kill. So if you get in that situation, you're going to be able to match up with anybody. You got a top 5 power play, you got a top 10 penalty kill. But 5-on-5, which traditionally has been the foundation of this team from a offensive success standpoint, it's fluctuated this year, but 4 to 1.6, that was really solid. And goals saved above expected, the goaltender side of it. Both goaltenders were on the positive side. 0.39 for Aiden Hill, and Langton was fantastic, 2.65. It was the numbers backed up a strong performance. It was maybe not as wire to wire as you would like to see. More finding your footing in the first period, and more competitive, more even in the third period. But that second period, Vegas, that second period, which so many times people have talked about, it's not a matter of, I don't believe it's a matter of a period being bad or you're susceptible to a certain period. I think it's game effect and how you're playing. Like they got through a nervous stage point yesterday, finding their footing under a new head coach, where everybody was getting comfortable or used to the new voice. Came out and they were much better in the second period. And score effect in the third period is a lot of times you're chasing the game. Vegas has chased the game a lot this year. They've been really good in the third period because they've had to be good in the third period.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think that, when you look at the numbers for the Golden Knights, how many goals they've scored, their goal differential in the third is tremendous, and it's because they've been in positions quite often this season where they're trailing going into the third period, and they need a couple of goals to get points out of games. Earlier on in the season, they were able to do it, and it's not to say that the other team just completely abandons what their game plan is. It's just you need the push from the Golden Knights, and more often than not, that push has been needed in the third.
Well, you want to go with the word of the day?
All right, yeah, let's do it. Fox Sports Las Vegas wants you to hit the jackpot every Monday through Friday. You could win $2,026 just by listening up for the daily code word and texting it to 702-876-1340. If you do that, you could hit the jackpot, $2,026, all thanks to Lotus Broadcasting, Paul Padilla, and Fox Sports Las Vegas. Today's code word is Sammy, SAMMY. Text Sammy, SAMMY, to 702-876-1340.
And you will know you've done it correctly because you'll get a response back saying you're entered. If you don't get a response back saying that you've entered, you've either spelled it wrong, there's been autocorrect all along the way. So Sammy, SAMMY, the word of the day. The guest of the day coming up is our good friend Danny Webster, joining us on Fox Sports Las Vegas, the beat reporter covering the Vegas Golden Knights for the RJ. He's coming up next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Hockey. Noun. Webster's dictionary defines hockey as a game played on an ice rink by two teams of 6 players on skates, whose object is to drive a puck into the opponent's goal with the hockey stick. It's time to talk to Webster. Danny Webster, that is.
Hello, Danny.
Hello, guys. That music is probably the most peaceful thing I've heard in the last 48 hours.
I was going to lean into it and let it go for a while.
I don't know if we want to do that. I haven't slept either in 2 days. I might fall asleep while we're on the air here.
You need to get some rest, Danny. Jeez.
Do me a favor, Danny.
What is rest? We're in the grind here. We're in the home stretch, and now suddenly things have flipped upside down. What is rest?
Danny, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Deep breaths.
So out through my nose and in through my mouth. Got it.
You screwed that up.
Well, you can breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, and everything will be just fine. That's what your nose is for.
What if I do out through my mouth, out through my nose? Would that also work?
It's not the way you do it if you want to relax. If you want to breathe, which is important, that's fine. That'll get the job done. But if we want to get into our Zen place, in through the nose, deep breath, exhale.
Yeah, I can't do it. I tried.
This is weird.
It takes more than 2 breaths, too.
I mean, it wouldn't be me if I didn't make it weird, right? I guess that's the thing.
That's a great point.
What do you think of Torts last night?
Came as advertised. Very passionate, very fiery. Really liked his energy. I think it was like a first day of school vibes is the way I described it. I think for at least one game, got the message across that he wanted to get to the team, and it came out on the winning side, which at this time of year, that's exactly what they needed.
When you start to think about, the tweak that John Tortorella made in the game yesterday, switching up Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, and that tweak there, what'd you like about the configuration and what it did for the Golden Knights offensively?
Yeah, I really liked how Marner's line got going, and I think it was more about the way they possessed the puck in the offensive zone. I thought that was a really good thing. I thought they did some really good things defensively. With Eichel, I liked getting him a shooter in Pavel Dorofeyev on that line. I think that's something that, has kind of been teased a little bit over the last little while for at least the last couple of years, but never really got to that fruition. So it was interesting to see how that panned out. I think there's probably some nuances if Torts wants to continue that route and go with those lines moving forward. I think they've got to develop that chemistry and read off each other. But no, I really did like that tweak. I think it got Marner's line going. I think it got them some really good looks. It felt like Stone and Marner, obviously they have chemistry this year. They played together really well. And Barbashev on that side too. I thought he brought some good play along the wall as well. And I think it really balanced that line out very well.
So he makes the adjustment there. Also asked the defense to move the puck quicker, either skating it or going north. Just a coincidence that a couple of defensemen score last night?
Probably, and I think it's probably the defenseman you wanted to see score, especially with Rasmus Andersson starting to get on a roll here with 3 goals in the last 4 games. He's starting to feel comfortable, I think, starting to get acclimated in the way that, how he was doing things, and now he's doing things completely in a little bit different of a voice coming out in here now. And Shea Theodore definitely needed a goal. I think it was only his 2nd goal since mid-January. He's been a little bit snake-bitten, trying to find the puck in the back of the net. I think it was a good play by Barbashev to find him off the half wall and have him skating in alone. I think that was a great play overall. But the fact that those two got on the board in terms of getting on the goal sheet, I thought was really good. And also, I think not lost in this either, Braden McNabb setting up Riley Smith for the winning goal. A great pass by him. He's been a little bit fighting it defensively the last little bit, but McNabb has been probably one of the more consistent offensive players the last little bit, and it showed again last night.
Danny, when you look at the first period, and John kind of mentioned that it was maybe more timid, nervous energy for the Golden Knights, you compare that to what they were able to put together in the second period, where they were a bit more aggressive, certainly playing faster, all of the things that John Tortorella wants to see them do. What are the main things that stood out to you, and how replicable is that for the Golden Knights moving forward?
Yeah, I kind of saw it the same way. When you look at the first period, obviously they fall behind 1-0, and then suddenly the first thought that goes through your mind is, oh, here we go again with the way that things have been going for how they've been falling behind and haven't been able to get to that next gear of finding a way out. But I think it was expected in the first period. There's been a lot of emotion going on for the last, 48 and 72 hours going on now. There's been a lot of, contemplating as to what is going to happen, what's going to be the case with a new coach behind the bench. How's that all going to play out? And I think once they got into the locker room and, Torts probably delivered a mild version of a Torts speech in the locker room after the first period and said, all right, we got to the first period, now let's get going. And you saw it. I think it was 15 to 10 in shots in the second period. When you look at shot attempts, I think it was 32 to 10. I think it was like 32 to 15 or something like that. Like, they controlled play throughout the entire second period. And, it does help that it was Vancouver, and we know the kind of slide that they've been on this year. But to see them get to their game and play the more direct north-south that, John has been talking about for the last, day and a half now, I think that was a really encouraging sign. And if they're able to kind of replicate that throughout the rest of this stretch, where, again, the schedule is pretty favorable down the stretch if they want to get back to the playoffs, if they're able to replicate that going into the playoffs and knowing that that's going to be the way that they're going to need to score goals, that's at least going to be a little bit of a promising starting point that you can look forward to.
That the energy in the bounce back factor was the most noticeable difference from before John to now with Torts last night. There wasn't a noticeable sag. Here we go again.
No, there wasn't, and I think even after Kane scores that goal to open things up, you didn't really get the sense that it was like, woe was me. But when it happens initially, you're like, oh, well, this is more of the same. How are they going to get about it? And I think probably whether Torts would probably say it or not, he probably did give a good little impassioned speech to the group in the locker room and said, all right, let's get going. This is why I'm here. This is why I was brought here. We're going to get to business here. And, to their credit, they came out with a lot of energy. They dominated the second period. The third period was kind of a little bit of half and half, playing with a little risky business, going D to D a little bit. But, I thought that the way that they were able to respond and get 3 goals in the second period, I think was probably not just a good sign that they're now, it seems like, listening to their new coach, but also in the fact that they got the message and they got back to work the way that they needed to.
I've heard the first intermission referenced a couple of times, and I wasn't in the room. I have not talked to anybody who passed along what went down. So this is me reading off of what Torts was asked about, what you've offered up in what we believe happened during that first intermission. I for one, it was positive from Torts. This wasn't one of those you guys get your heads out of your shoulder pads and let's go. It wasn't anything like that. I believe Torts would have been very positive. I don't think it was very long. It wasn't a rant or a 2-minute dialogue. I think it was, guys, relax. Mm-hmm. Great players. Mm-hmm. Let's go. No reason to be nervous. No reason to be on your back foot. Let's get it going in the right direction and relax. I think it was as simple as that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, look, in the totality of this, in this whole situation, you compare it to what he inherited in Philadelphia. It's obviously night and day. When you know what you've got in the locker room as far as this is a team that was built to win a Stanley Cup. This was a team built of star players that have won it before, and a group of guys in that room that want to win for the first time as well. like I think he knows the kind of situation he's coming into, and it's like you said, it's more of a relaxing. And he kind of touched on it last night too after the game, where he just wants the guys to relax and realize that it's just a hockey game. You're not going, if you're going to make mistakes, but aggressively, and try not to let it, hinder you the other way. And I think overall it probably did have to be a positive message, knowing he's getting to know this group for the first time and still getting everyone's names correctly. Shout out to Nick Dowd. But that is, it probably had to be, somewhere along those lines. And like I said, I think he delivered it well. And, all things considered, like I said, they got the win. They need wins this time of year. And, 7 to go, that's where you got to start.
I loved how Torts framed it after the game yesterday. And you alluded to it, Danny, like, you're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen. It's a game of mistakes. But make sure the mistakes that you're making are out of aggression or an aggressive style of play, as opposed to just being timid, because then you're on your back foot and it's harder to kind of atone for or put out those fires when you make those mistakes. Do you view that as part of the mindset piece that John's trying to implement with 7 games left? And how freeing can that be for, not just the star players, the Eichels, the Stones, the Marners of the world, but, some of the younger guys that are in this situation for the first time, thinking like a Caden Korzak?
Yeah, I think so. And I think back to the Kane goal in the first period. It wasn't really a mistake by Jeremy Lauzon, but, I think there was maybe a little bit of indecisiveness of how he wanted to play that rolling puck. And when he found out that it got past him, and you're faced with a 2-on-1 the other way, those kinds of mistakes obviously have been turning into goals the other way for the Golden Knights. But I think what happened after that is when you got rid of the indecisiveness later on in the game, you started to see, okay, if you're going to make mistakes, at least know that you're a skilled enough hockey player to play through your mistakes and get back if you do. And I think that does help. And it's going to help those young guys, especially like you mentioned with Korzak. He's now finding himself, mixed between a top 4 and a bottom pair role. Like he's about to endure playoff hockey, all things considered, for the first time in his career in the next little bit here. He's playing these tough games. He's been almost an everyday kind of player. And he's gonna learn really quick that he's gonna be tasked with these kinds of mistakes, and it's about how you persevere through them. And I think, like you saw last night, you get rid of one mistake, you give up the power play goal to go down 2-1, but you find a way to bounce back and create the response and keep going the other way. So I definitely think it can be a positive thing, and especially for the younger guys who haven't been there and the guys who haven't been playoff tested in a long time, I do think it's going to help them.
Any of the ice time jump out at you last night?
You know what? Considering I'm going to be honest, I did not look at the ice time because of deadline and everything else in the sense, so I did not really get a chance to look at the box score, but from just my eye test, seemed pretty even, right? Like it seemed like it wasn't nothing that completely jumped out of the page. I mean, it looked like maybe at times Marner's line was out there a little bit more, but I from just the eye test, I don't think it was really anything that kind of stood out that kind of was alarming, unless you saw something different.
No, your top 2 centers were both over 20 minutes, and your third line got some attention. I like the way the third line played last night. We're seeing some jump out of Riley Smith, by the way, right now, and the fourth line was in the range that we've seen. So they didn't reinvent the wheel last night, which Torts was pretty upfront about that he didn't want to throw too much at them. A little bit in the D zone and wanting the puck to go north, with the 2 more aggressive in the D zone and getting the puck going north were his 2 main objectives.
Yeah, and I think you kind of saw that too. It looked like you switched up the pairs a little bit, putting Anderson and Hanifin back together in the second period, and it looked like that jump kind of worked out as well in the second period. And I think when you saw Lauzon and Korzak get back together as a third pairing, I thought it looked pretty much what you expected. Riley Smith, like you mentioned, Darren, playing really well since getting back as a full-time guy in the lineup. He's feeling good about where his game is at. and obviously him scoring goals is definitely going to be a factor. If he can continue to be that kind of a catalyst offensively, and if he is someone that can really help get Tomas Hertl going, and it was good to see him get on the score sheet for the first time, I believe in 12 games last night. If he can develop some chemistry with Hertl, that's going to be very huge, especially for that line if your top guys are not able to get going.
I will say the stat, if people love box scores, an area that just popped out to me last night was the hits. Vegas held an edge, 33-25. That's dramatic because Vegas had the puck a lot more than Vancouver last night. You generally the team that wins the hit battle generally is the team that's getting outplayed because you're chasing the puck a lot more. That's just naturally how it works out. And Vegas, Ivan Barbashev, credit was 7 hits last night. Cole Smith, credit was 7 hits last night. Cole Smith almost had a hit for every minute of ice time last night. Brett Howden had 4. Keegan Colasar and Mark Stone each had 3. Mitch Marner had the most noticeable hit at the end of the second period in an open ice hit. If you're looking for areas that reflected the desire to see more energy, more enthusiasm, well, it was reflected in what we saw in body contact.
Yeah, and the one thing that I noticed, and I want to say it was probably, correct me if I'm wrong if you guys remember, but I think it was after the first whistle in the first period, maybe it was the first or second whistle, and it was right by the Vancouver net, and you saw Mark Stone get into it with
feisty.
Yeah, he got a little bit of feisty in there, and it wasn't registered with a hit, but when I saw that happen, what were we talking about, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes into the game, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be a much different feel to the game than what we've been accustomed to seeing for the last little bit. So good on the captain for, one, initiating that kind of a fight, and 2, for everyone else to follow. Like I said, 33 hits. That is very surprising. The one thing that surprised me, and I know it's kind of off topic, but the 4 block shots. I know you said that that Vegas had the puck for the majority of the game, but to only have 4 block shots and really control play for 40 minutes of that game, I was kind of surprised by that.
Well, I think that kind of speaks to, one of the things that John Tortorella is trying to do, right? Kill more plays in your own zone. Yeah. It's not like Vancouver had a ton of offensive zone time, so you couple those things together, and I think that's what allowed Vegas to be pretty clean, and a strong outing for Adin Hill on the back half of it as well.
Yeah, and good for Adin to come back and have a strong outing for sure. I think especially now with Carter Hart coming back eventually. Kelly said that he's planning on playing some regular season games at some point. Throws the goaltending situation into a very interesting spot. Definitely good for him to have a really solid outing.
It'll be interesting how they split that up in the final 7 games, because you want your number one guy ready. You'd like Akira Schmid to be somewhat getting some action and not go in on an extended absence of not playing, and you got to get Carter Hart up to speed. There, to be perfectly honest, there's not enough games left to do it all.
Right. And that's going to be the big problem, especially if I don't. It's interesting because, like you said, Torts even said the other day, with 3 goalies, it's going to be tricky. And when Bruce was, when I pestered Bruce in the final days about what the plan is for the goalies, he seemed pretty adamant that it was going to be Adin getting the lion's share. And now that probably is still going to be the case. He is your number one. He is paid like your number one. But now with a new voice behind the bench, does that change? And does that allow him to go with a guy who he's familiar with in Carter Hart? Does that allow maybe more leeway for Akira Schmid, or is it Adin Hill's net for the rest of the way? It's going to be really interesting to watch and see how this unfolds.
7 games left. Do you see a 4-2-1 split? Hill and Hart and Schmidt. That's the way I forecast it. Danny, it happens fast, eh? When the breaking news occurs, and you got to turn around and start writing stories and getting the headlines out, and then tracking down some information. How was your couple of days?
It was pretty hectic. I'm not going to lie. I was actually in the process of writing something about the goalies, and then the news came down at 1:15. I said, "Well, that scraps my plan for my Sunday." But yeah, it's been a wild ride, but it's going to be an interesting stretch here for the last little bit to see how it goes.
3 goalie situations. It's not great, but there's 7 games left, and then you get into the playoffs, and then you got 2 guys, and you manage your roster that way. Danny Webster with us. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Back with more on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
There was some rust. I think for half the game, and the boys let me do it, I was calling Dowd by a different name, and I didn't realize I was doing it. And I'm sure you'll hear about that eventually from these guys.
You're listening to the VGK Insider Show.
We're going to see bumps in different ways that manifest themselves in different stretches here. Some will be right away. Some will evolve. The presence of a new voice back there. But Riley Smith, and he has played better since he's been in the lineup. He's been impactful since he's been in the lineup is a great way to phrase that. But he scored a goal last night, a great play in being able to convert an opportunity, but played just over 13 minutes of ice time and had 6 shot attempts. Go through the game sheets this year and tell me the last time that Riley Smith had 5 pucks on net. It wouldn't be more than a handful. And like Riley Smith is a guy, and Braden Bowman has done a great job this year, and we've loved his arrival in the National Hockey League. But Riley Smith, in playing what you would call a support role this year, 65 games, he can get into just over 70 if he goes down the rest of the way. But he's got 13 goals. He's got the chance to hit like a 15 goal mark, which is really, like, if you play the full season, puts you into the high teens. That's a great number out of a veteran player that played down in your lineup and was in and out of your lineup, and that's the kind of player that I think can get a really good sizable pop from this coaching change.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And, you look at the 13 goals for Riley Smith, and you mentioned the word impact. Go back to the Golden Knights' last 2 wins, right? Against Dallas, who scores the game-winning goal? It's Riley Smith. Against Vancouver yesterday, who scores the game-winning goal? Riley Smith. When we have been kind of looking at and talking about the extra play that you need to make in order to win the game, it's a hell of a pass from Braden McNabb to find Riley Smith. But as you mentioned earlier, Darren, Riley starts that play with the rim around. He goes right hard to the front of the net. He is strong on his stick to be able to finish that play off. Those are the types of things that, have been the difference in winning games for the Golden Knights recently. And Riley Smith in the middle of it playing some really, really good hockey. I agree that with Tortorella coming in, this could be an absolute boost for Riley, not just to be in the lineup every day, but to continue to be impactful the way that he's been the last couple of weeks.
The goal last night was a hockey goal. Puck in deep, forecheck, make a play, tap it in. What I've liked about Riley Smith on the offensive side is he's got some confidence with the puck, in handling the puck in the O-zone, and off the rush, he looks a lot more comfortable, and he is not shy right now about getting the puck to the net and making a play on the puck at the net, and that's really, really encouraging, and looking forward to it. Back on the ice on Thursday before heading on the road. We'll set it up the games in Edmonton and Vancouver with our show on Friday, which is also going to coincide with the Paul Padala Hockey Parlay Contest. This Friday our jackpot is grown to over $1,000. People can win $1,100 by listening and kind of getting through and being the participant in the Paul Padelaw Hockey Parlay Contest.
Yeah, it's a massive jackpot coming at you this week. Don't expect easy games. That's all I can say. At least not for me. I don't know what Millard and Justice will do, but
they're hard to track anyway right now. Like Florida beat Ottawa tonight. A team scrapping, clawing, desperate for points, just lost to a team that's out of it.
So, $1,100. Games will be reflective of the jackpot that you're playing for. That's all I can say.
Like, we're getting into the territory of the biggest jackpot we've given away on the VGK Insider Show, and it's now sizable. So, and we'll keep going with this thing. We'll run it out. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a bit of a letdown when somebody wins in a way to go back to $100, but $1,100. It's now to the stage where it could be worth something. Hour number 2 coming up. Mike Rupp from the NHL Network is next.
Live from the Richard Harris Law Firm studios.
Try to get it to Tomas Hurdle. Second pass goes to Hannafin, left point. Hannafin shoots. Tipped on. Hurdle to save. Rebound, score! Rasmus Anderson.
This is the VGK Insiders Show.
Barbashev trying to get a step. He got whacked on the stick. Put it in front. Theodore scores! Barbashev to Theodore. Top left corner.
With Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace.
Riley Smith at center dumps it in. 90 seconds to go in the period. 2-2 tie. Left wall. McNabb in front. Score! It's Riley Smith.
On Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Rolling along on Fox Sports Las Vegas, the VGK Insider Show. Darren Millard, Ryan Wallace, Jared Justice. We've got some VGK tickets to give away. Also an opportunity for people to go to the Frozen Four. UND into the Frozen Four. Michigan also coming.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a team to root for? The Frozen Four.
Do I have a favorite? I don't. I'll lean into Michigan just because, just for funsies. But no, I don't have a favorite. I don't have a rooting interest, so to speak.
Who's your favorite college hockey team?
I don't have a favorite college hockey team. I don't have a favorite college hockey team. I don't.
UNLV.
No, they're not in this.
They're not in the Frozen Four. I can't lean into UNLV, although I do love the Skating Rebels. But no, Well, okay, let me think about this for a minute here.
Okay, in the Frozen Four, you got Michigan, Denver, two great hockey programs.
Sure.
Wisconsin and North Dakota, two legendary hockey programs.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't have a favorite. I would love to watch
Denver.
more college
I really
hockey.
do like Denver.
You do like Denver.
And by the way, their coach is going to be in the national. It's hard to believe.
You know what?
Yet. But
I'll
Michigan,
lean into this.
Michigan, so many great players come out of Michigan. Wisconsin, Badgers always seem to be they haven't been as competitive, but lately. But they're back into it. And I grew up on UND hockey. We got the North Dakota channels for ABC, NBC, and CBS in Brandon. So I watched Pat Sweeney. Was the play-by-play guy and sports anchor at WDAZ in Grand Forks, and so I love my North Dakota. So I'm really excited about UND coming to Vegas.
So you're a North Dakota guy. I have family.
Yep.
I have family in Denver, so I'll go Denver.
Okay,
there we go.
It's cool how it's lined up too. Michigan, Denver, and then Wisconsin and UND. And Wisconsin won in overtime to get to the Frozen Four. Michigan beat Minnesota Duluth. That was a great game. Denver outlasted Western Michigan, and Wisconsin got by Michigan State. I thought we might get an all Michigan championship game, but it's not gonna work out that way. So we've got those two Vegas Golden Knight tickets to give away in just a little bit, plus your opportunity to qualify to attend the Frozen Four. Mike Rupp's coming up in just a little bit from the NHL Network. He will join us. Mike Rupp played for John Tortorella for a couple of years, so he'll be able to tell us just what the players are going through right now as they play under a guy that's coached more than 1,600 games in the National Hockey League, won more than 700. First American to win 500 games in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I think you look at John Tortorella and the career, the longevity that he's had. He is certainly won at this level, right? He took the Tampa Bay Lightning to a Stanley Cup championship back in 2004. And, I think that, and John touched on it, right? Like there's perception and reality of what the perception is of John Tortorella versus the reality of John Tortorella. And, I think that when you look back at, Sunday afternoon into Monday morning, there were quite a few players that, it kind of touched on what it was like to play for Torts and how much they enjoyed playing for him. So, I'm really interested to see and excited to see what he's able to do with the Golden Knights over the final 7 games.
It's the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Darren Millard along with Ryan Wallace. And here from the NHL Network is Mike Rupper. Hi, Rupper.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on with you, buddy?
Not too much, man. Just down the stretch here, getting excited for playoffs, and every night teams living and dying by what happens, and fan bases questioning everything. It's life in the National Hockey League.
Are you aware that like we're watching out west here all the time to you guys talking hockey out east? We always got you on in the office.
Oh, I'm good. That's good to know. Sometimes I feel like we're on mute, and maybe that's the best thing at times,
You played a couple of years under Torts. That's the big story in the National Hockey League is the change in coach here with the Vegas Golden Knights. What can you tell us about playing under John Tortorella?
So, I think the best way of probably putting this is it's like when your parents tell you things when you're a kid or a teenager, and you're like, yeah. And then later on, you're like, wow, man, I wish I would have listened a little bit more. I wish I would have, it's one of those things that like some players, put it this way, I don't know if I've met a player that has played for him that doesn't some way, shape, or form, maybe get to it at a different point in their life, but come back to the fact of he made me better. And, mine wasn't necessarily like that where it was later. I actually really enjoyed him while I had him. Now, I didn't like everything he said. I didn't like everything maybe he did. I don't think a lot of guys on the team were feeling that way all the time as far as enjoying every second. But at the end of the day, we all wanted to win. And I don't think there was a coach that I had in the National Hockey League that prepared a group to win better than John Tortorella. So, he was also very approachable, and I think there's this misconception out there that he's just this, unapproachable jerk. He's the furthest thing from that. The furthest thing from that. You can go in there, just show respect for him. He'll show respect for you. Go into his room. You got something you want to say, you can air it all out as long as you do it in a one-on-one in a respectful way. And at the same time, he's like a proud father when the team comes through and finds a way to win. He gives you that nod, that pat on the back. Like I thoroughly enjoyed John Tortorella as a coach.
So the change happens with 8 games to go. From a player's perspective, what are you expecting to be tweaked or altered a couple of weeks before the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you're trying to also secure your ticket to the Stanley Cup playoffs with a team that has expectations coming into the year, and by making the change, they obviously still harbor those.
So maybe you can find out for certain, but I can assure you that John Tortorella probably said everybody will be blocking shots. Like that is his MO. Like you will sacrifice. And that's the way that you sacrifice the most. I think playing under him is you got to make sure you're willing to block shots. that's like a minor thing in the grand scheme of maybe what Vegas fans are hoping their team's going to change. I don't know if there's a ton that you can change with 8 games left, honestly.
Yeah.
I think you would be, and you know, a guy that's been around as long as Torts, like he isn't going to try to reinvent the wheel. You're setting yourself up for disaster if you're trying to change everything with 8 games left. I think just a level of accountability, a level of belief. I mean, sometimes of just like any coach, new coach, no matter who it is, we see these coaches bumps. It's a chance to make a first impression. So that helps short term. I think long term, and what Vegas, the Golden Knights franchise hope is long term is a number of rounds in the playoffs, is where his accountability, that stuff he's going to demand. He's going to demand that accountability. He has this way of getting you to dig deeper. The things he says that get you riled up. Like I don't know how to explain it. He has a way of coming in and just kind of telling you, like for an example, in New York, I had him there. We were up for President's Trophy. I think Vancouver ended up nudging us out that year and won. We kind of struggled the last couple weeks of the season as far as not locking that in. But his big thing was just kind of, it was a long season. We started off, there's upgrades at MSG. We were starting off, we were in Europe for a long stretch, started in the Premier Games over in Sweden. Then it's like you get into the schedule, and it was a really long year. And the media kept kind of questioning and saying, you know, are you guys running out of gas? Are you tired? It just is, as dumb as it sounds, maybe, you just needed someone to get us focused on the right things. And he would come in and he's like, you know, you are not tired. We've prepared for this all year. We've done X, Y, and Z. And he kind of lays things out for you and just gets you in the right mind space. Like, there's nothing I think that Torts is overly going to change with the Golden Knights right now, but they're going to get in a different mind space. And I think with this roster, how talented it is, and where I think a lot of us thought this team would be this year, maybe that's exactly what they need right now.
You know, you just kind of touched on the mindset, and that's what John mentioned yesterday, is that he wants to attack a couple of points of emphasis when it comes to mindset. And, you know, when you couple that with what Kelly McCrimmon said about somewhere along the way the Golden Knights kind of lost their spirit, like, is that maybe where the biggest impact for Tortorella is just fixing the mindset and reinvigorating this team with what they were missing?
Yeah, I think so. You know, that's the other part with this team too. This is a pretty veteran team. You know what I mean? So this is not like you're going to have to go in here and start showing people how to play hockey the right way. So these guys, I think, know how to play the right way. Maybe things have slipped. Maybe the mojo's not great right now as far as just feeling like everything's kind of clicking. But yeah, I mean, think that's the biggest thing, is just kind of unlocking some players and just getting everybody on the same page. And I'm trying not to go cliche about pulling the same rope while everyone's going, but that's really what it is everybody getting on the same page and what your expectations are for each other. He's very clear on those things. So as much as there's not going to be much freelancing, put it that way. And I don't know. I don't watch every single game of Vegas. I think there's been a significant amount of inconsistency. I don't know if there's been freelancing going on, but there won't be now. And I think that's really good going into the playoffs, to be predictable for one another, being predictable for your coaching staff. Like those are the things he's going to ask for.
Stanley Cup champion Mike Rupp from the NHL Network is joining us on the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace. I talked to Shane Knighty yesterday on our broadcast about the coaching bump, and just as a player, why do you think? I'm curious about your opinion. Why do you think a coaching bump occurs when a guy doesn't have time to put the systems in place, but you still get better results than the previous guy?
Well, 'cause at the end of the day, when there's a coaching change, things aren't working. And when things aren't working, somebody's upset. Somebody feels like they're not getting enough ice time. Somebody's feeling like this coach isn't, tweaking our team concept or whatever the excuses are. That's where it gets dangerous, right? All the excuses start kind of flying around. And when you make a coaching change, it feels like, all right, it's the clean slate that I have. But then there's some other players who maybe were in good graces with the prior coach, who were getting a lot of minutes. And this might be like, I got to make sure I'm impressing this guy. I want to keep playing power play. I want to keep playing these minutes. I want to keep doing these things. And I always felt like it was just a I don't want to say an opportunity, because I didn't love coaching changes, but it was an opportunity to kind of sit up straight and get back to the basics. And if you do it and do it well, I always felt like it was maybe more ice time. Maybe more ice time means more production, and then I'm in a better place individually and as a team while trying to get to a certain level. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's the best way I can kind of explain. Sometimes just a new voice of just feeling like it's the dog days of the season is behind you, and just coming to the rink and even doing different drills, as dumb as that sounds. Like, I know there's some coaches and there's some practices that I think over my career with the NHL, like, we don't even need a coach out on the ice. Like, it was automatic. Like, this is what we do, and these are the drills we do. And, sometimes switching that up keeps everybody a little bit more on their toes and a little fresh and dotting their I's, crossing their T's.
You mentioned the inconsistency from Vegas. Obviously, you make this change with 8 games left. In terms of kind of your thought on the Golden Knights, does the coaching change, does John Tortorella change your perception or expectations for the Golden Knights moving forward?
I picked Vegas to go to the Cup Finals at the beginning of the year. I had Vegas, Tampa, and I had Tampa winning. I still think here's where I'm at with the Pacific Division. So I kind of get a chuckle out of doing NHL Network, where the Pacific Division kind of gets dragged through the mud a lot lately, where they're like, oh, all the teams in the Pacific wouldn't even be in the playoffs in the East. I'm like, there's not one chance that you're going to ask a team, would you rather play the Detroit Red Wings or the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Vegas Golden Knights? No one's going to say they'd rather play the Vegas Golden Knights. Nobody's going to say it. The pedigree is there. The talent on that roster is there. It's like, this is still a team that can get it done. Now, I'll go back to the Pacific Division as far as it being wide open. Yeah, because there's a lot of teams that haven't gotten their crap together down the stretch here. So the first one to do it's probably got the best opportunity of going on a bit of a run. But, I mean, I don't have any doubt in my mind that this team could easily find themselves in the Western Conference Finals. Now that's going to be a stiff test. Every round is going to be a stiff test in the playoffs. That might be another level, but at that point, we can't predict. Like, the playoffs are crazy. Like, I can't tell you how many years we lost in round one where, as a team, where you're just thinking, man, if we could just got past that first round, and how you just build momentum, and then things just become automatic. So these guys know they've won. They've got a lot of guys on that roster that have won, have gone on long, deep drives. That's what you're looking for. Let's just start feeling good about ourselves. Get in, secure our spot, wherever that is. And then we just got to go game at a time. You win a round, there's no doubt in my mind this team can go on a long run.
Order of the task: secure your spot. You got to book your spot through the Pacific Division, so you avoid the wild card and the crossover into the Central, and then take your chances from there. You picked Vegas and Tampa. Is that just because you want to come and hang out here?
Partially.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
You didn't ask that before. I only like going to nice weather places. We've had 2 straight years in Edmonton. I love Edmonton. Edmonton's beautiful in that time of year, but it's not Vegas and it's not Florida. No, I just think that as far as being built, I still think no matter what's happened in the East, I just still think Tampa's exceptionally better than everybody else. Like when the push comes to shove, and that doesn't mean that it's a free pass. Like Buffalo's been such a great story. I just think playing to your ability, Tampa should come out of the East. And the same thing I said at the beginning of the year, I think healthy, which has been a challenge for Vegas this year. The forward group, I think, is as deep as anybody. I actually said the deepest forward group in the NHL, and I believe that. And so I know scoring's been kind of hard to come by as of late, but it's not for lack of talent that they have on that forward group. I mean, that forward group is a scary forward group. So get a couple saves, do your thing defensively, let those forwards believe and up the ante. I think that could be a good recipe.
It's been a while since I got a chance to hang out with you or work with you, so come on to Vegas. If it's the Stanley Cup final, we'll do it. We'll roll it back. Thanks for doing this, Rupper. Appreciate it. Love your insight.
Awesome. Anytime, guys. Thanks.
There's Mike Rupp from the NHL Network with us on Fox Sports Las Vegas with Darren Millard and Ryan Wallace. That's interesting that the take about the crossover East-West. I haven't heard it phrased that way. I've heard it put numerous different ways. Most of it is dogging the Pacific Division.
Sure, 100%.
But I think it's a lot of it because the depth of the division has caused everybody to be more even, and it's dropped some of the higher end point totals. But that was a great point about if you're Detroit or you're Buffalo or Vegas, who would you play there?
Yeah, I think that's the most practical way of looking at it, right? Like we can look at point totals all we want to, and everyone can be up in arms about geography if that's like your prerogative. But I think that's probably the most practical point that you can make. Okay, if you are any number of teams in the Eastern Conference, if you had your pick of Buffalo, Detroit, Columbus, doesn't matter, or playing the Vegas Golden Knights, no one's picking the Vegas Golden Knights. I think that is a tremendous view of where Vegas is as a team, the respect that they have around the league, and Mike mentioned it, the pedigree that they have. They've got winners in that room that have won recently, and if they get on a run and they kind of hit their stride at the right time here down the stretch, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round of the playoffs, that's for sure.
Would you like to go to Thursday night's game, Vegas and Calgary?
I mean, I'm going to Thursday night's game against Vegas and Calgary, but we can send somebody.
That's a bit of a flex, isn't it?
Well,
I'm already going to the game. You don't worry about me. I'm already in the press box. I don't even have to buy a ticket.
Well, again, someone's got to set the gear up.
Wow. Right? That's incredible. Well, if you as a listener right now, if you would like to go to the game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Calgary Flames, stick around, because in the next segment, we'll give you an opportunity to win tickets. And also, you might be able to slide into the Frozen Four. I'll tell you all about that as we continue on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
Carlson left corner, centered, one-timer, score!
It's time for One-Timers. A quick look at news and notes from around the National Hockey League. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
Okay, I'll give you a choice here. We can go newsy stuff first and tonight's action second, or we can start with tonight's action and the impact on the standings and then go to the newsy stuff. You decide.
Let's go newsy stuff first.
Tickets. We're not giving away tickets yet. You can win tickets to see the Golden Knights take on the Calgary Flames in just a little bit. Qualified to see the Frozen Four, but we're not giving them away just yet. Nope, not going to happen. Got things to talk about. Jim Nill, Dallas Stars. They've been to 3 straight Western Conference Finals. He's won a couple of GM of the Year awards in the National Hockey League. And he has just signed an extension. I wasn't sure whether Jim was wrapping it up or not. But he's got a 2-year contract extension to remain with the Dallas Stars. So that's good for him. One of the nicest people in hockey, Jim Nill.
Really?
Yeah, just a great guy, wonderful human. Love to talk to him. Great storyteller. Not waving the flag like, look at me. I got to be the loudest guy in the room by any means. Not at all. Just a really cool dude. Loved by Jim Nill. So he gets the 2-year contract extension, which is well deserved given what they've done and what they're doing right now in this season that's been dominated by the Central Division's Colorado Avalanche. But Dallas is one of 2 teams that's over 100 points, one of 2 teams that's booked a playoff spot already. And by the way, he's done it with different coaches, Pete Gore and now with Glenn Gulletson.
Right. You look at the roster that he's built. This is a team that is perennially not just a playoff team, but a team that you can expect to see in the Final Four for the National Hockey League. 3 straight Western Conference final appearances. So a lot to like about how the Dallas Stars have been built. They obviously make the big splash last year in bringing in Mikko Rantanen. So, there's still some business to attend to when it comes to Jason Robertson, but it's a stable franchise that is in their window. It just makes sense for Jim to kind of get that extension and give himself more cracks at winning a Stanley Cup.
I like Jason Robertson. The kid just produces.
Yeah, he does.
But there's something strange. Not on Team USA. Either teams, the
right.
4 Nations face-off or the Olympic team. And you think that would have been a no-brainer, given his ability to put the puck in it. No American player at the time of the selection had scored more goals now. Cole Caulfield, obviously, is chasing down a 50-goal season. And now Robertson with a contract up, that could end up being a challenging situation for Jim, given where that number slots in with the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is not going to be an easy scenario, but Jason Robertson is a premier goal scorer in the league, and you said it right. All he does is produce. He just continues to find ways to be incredibly productive. With the injury to Mikko Rantanen, he is leading the Stars in goals and points. So that's another notch on the belt for Jason Robertson just in terms of negotiations. So we'll see what the future holds for Robertson, the Stars, and what magic Jim Nill can work in that scenario.
He's been in the league 5 full seasons. This is fifth full season. Played part of another. He's got 3 40-goal seasons, just hitting the mark here recently. With a good finish down the stretch, can approach his career high of 46, and can approach a 100-point season for the second time. I don't know what the number will come in at, but he's looking at north of 10.
Right.
And I mean, can you do that? Can you do 12 by 8? 12 by he can still do by 8 this year. He's 26 years old. You're gonna have to pay some for the future and for his prime. 12 might be low there, Ryan.
It feels low to me because the hardest thing in the world to do is score goals, right? And Jason Robertson scores goals.
But why wasn't he on either Team USA?
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I didn't assemble the team. And if you're asking me if Jason Robertson would have been on my Team USA, he would have been. Because, you got to score goals to win championships, and Jason Robertson does that. I can't tell you why he wasn't on Team USA. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It worked out well in the Olympics, so I'll take the gold medal. But, I don't know what the hang-up is with the player. He's been incredibly productive. He's been incredibly consistent. Teams covet that. You would expect teams to covet that. And, I don't know that the Dallas Stars are going to want to go anywhere north of what they went with Mikko Rantanen, right? I don't think you're looking to pay
13?
Jason. I think so. I'm looking it up right now, but I think that if you're Dallas, you'd like to get Robertson done at or under the contract for Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, and he's playmaker. A career high 63 assists in his second full season, but this year he's going to be over 50 assists for the third time, so he can still do that. And doesn't he plays 20 minutes a night, so they're fortunate they don't have to lean on him. I'm just curious to see where that deal eventually slots in. There's a cap crunch there, or else he'd be signed by now, and he may work himself into a spot where he's just worth too much, and they have to make an adjustment.
So Rantanen is at $12 million.
Okay,
that's his cap hit. So like, you start to think about the Dallas Stars, and yeah, I mean, I agree.
26 years old. That's the key. Like,
right.
He's a homegrown 26-year-old goal scorer.
And like the beauty of it, right, is that, you go 7 or 8 years, like you're getting Jason Robertson for his entire prime. And that's why you kind of look at $12 million. If you're talking about a perennial 40-goal, 80-point guy, that's feels like $12 million might be low.
I think he's over Rantanen's number. Oh, well, he's going to ask for it, for sure. Alexander Ovechkin. Before I get to that, Toronto, they fired their general manager yesterday. They announced it right before they played in Anaheim. Strange timing, but apparently Brad Treliving, the outgoing general manager, said just put it out there. It had already been done behind the scenes, like the actual telling him that he wasn't going to work there any longer. So Trees just said, get it done. And then Anaheim and Toronto played, and Toronto won in overtime. That was the payback game for Radko Gudas. There was a fight, and it was Max Domi who fought. Good fight. Got the better of Gudas. Gudas also has a wonky ankle right now, but he played, so good on him for that. But the Toronto Maple Leafs held a media session today back home. Keith Pelley, the president of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, talked about several things about the general manager search, and says in terms of one of the keys the candidate may be looking for, they have to be data-centered. They have to understand data, the importance of data, and where data is moving. So it looks like they're all in on analytics.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, that's for sure.
Right? I've never heard it phrased quite like that. And I know Keith. I know Keith used to be my boss. And he will put forth the message that he believes. But there's always it was a unique media conference. Let's put it that. Talking about there's no challenge, and this was a bit of a flex today. There's no budget constraints in order to ensure the preferred candidate is put in place, i.e. we'll pay as much as we want. And everybody else is like, okay, that's great. All the candidates, like Doug Armstrong in St. Louis, is moving on there. I've heard him linked to the Toronto job several times. This is what Pelly said. There's no challenges with resources, so we are currently undeniably probably the team that spends the most on hockey expenditures in the league. You want to know why?
Why?
They have 6 assistant general managers. Which was also mentioned during the press conference. 6 assistant general managers.
6? Seriously?
Yep. 6
AGM.
I knew that already, but I've never heard it used as a flex after you just fired the GM and you're going to miss the playoffs.
I mean, are none of the 6 AGMs analytically driven and ready to be promoted?
No, nobody's being promoted. Okay. They're going outside here.
Well, then,
it's a good point.
Then why do you have assistant general managers?
You got to have to,
let alone 6 of them.
You think somebody would be an heir apparent there? Just as far as the structure, because they may not have 6 general managers, quite honestly, when the new guys hire. Whether they hire a general manager and president of hockey operations or just general manager. That's left to be determined. But Pelly said, I think nothing has been determined with the final structure. We currently have 6 assistant general managers. Is that the right structure? What is the right structure? Might come down to after interviewing candidates and potential people. As far as Craig Berube, he's still the coach. So that's not changing right now. Watch the press conference. There's a lot of corporate jargon in that press conference.
I'm fascinated by this idea that you've got 6 AGMs. You just relieve your general manager of his duties, and somehow you think that not promoting one of the 6 people that are tasked with being the assistant to the general manager that's wild to me. What's the point of having 6 AGMs if none of them are ready to take over the job? What are they doing?
He also said everything will be based on evidence-based decisions.
I mean, like, listen, if you want to,
what does that
like,
mean?
I don't know, because you can have the evidence of what, like, a player is and what they have done. I think it means
facts, but again, it's like that corporate jargon thing. It was different, and we'll see. I know they want the manager in place because they want to hire one of these high profile coaches that are out there. It could be Bruce Cassidy. It could be Pete DeBoer. Oddly enough, the 2 former Vegas Golden Knight coaches.
Right.
We'll see what path they go down. But it was Toronto today. There's no way to really sum it up other than that. Here's Alexander Ovechkin scored tonight. Tonight's action.
Okay. Great.
30th goal of the season.
Yeah.
20th time in 21 seasons.
Yeah.
They scored 30 goals.
Yep.
He becomes one of the 4 people to score 30 or more goals as a 40-year-old. Do you know who the other 3 are?
I'll say Gordie Howe.
Yep. Gordie did it twice. Scored 44 as a 40-year-old and also scored 31.
I'll say Jaromir Jagr.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would have got either one of these.
How about
Teemu Selanne?
Oh man, I should have known that.
Yeah. He scored 31.
Okay.
And Johnny Busick scored 36.
Yeah, I should have known Teemu. Yeah, I should have known Teemu.
Yeah.
I'm bummed.
His 20 seasons with at least 30 goals are 3 more than Mike Gartner, who's second in NHL history. He used to play Thursday hockey with Guards back in Newmarket when I lived in Toronto. We had a men's league morning skate, bunch of NHLers out there, and man, that dude just hated to lose. He just wanted to score goals, just nonstop. And I have a cage at home that he just dented in.
Really?
Yeah, right in the face. And I'm
amazing.
shaking it off, and he skates by and says, "Nobody asked you to play goal. You wanted to do it." Yeah. He's a fun guy.
That's awesome.
Action tonight in the National Hockey League. Should we give away the tickets right now? Let's do that before I get into the scores. 702-876-1340. We've got tickets to see the Golden Knights take on the Calgary Flames on Thursday, and you will also be entered in to win tickets to the Frozen Four, the NCAA Men's Hockey Championship, which is coming to Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you are getting the tickets for the Golden Knights and the Calgary Flames tomorrow, and then, as Darren mentioned, you are entered into a drawing for Frozen 4 tickets. The winner for that will be announced April 7th. 702-876-1340. That's the number. We're going to take caller number 4.
There you go. Jared, man those phones. Action tonight, Stars against the Bruins, 2-2. They're playing in the late in the second period. The game's just gone to the intermission. Islanders and Sabres are 1-1 in that game. The Islanders just scored to pull that one even. Florida Panthers against the Ottawa Senators, 6-1 now. Panthers. I already gave the Panthers the win in this one. Again, it's unpredictable right now. Like the Ottawa Senators, desperate for points, have 12 shots late in the second period. Just not their night. And the Canadiens against the Lightning, it's a 2-1 lead for the Canadiens. Playoff position implications on that one. Penguins with a big win or big game right now going against Detroit. After 2 periods, Penguins up 4-1. Still to happen. Capitals 3-2 against the Flyers. The Flyers are in it right now. Capitals believe they have a chance, but they got to almost run the table. Big one there. And the Hurricanes lead the Blue Jackets 2-0. Kraken against the Oilers tonight.
Yeah.
If you're a VGK fan, you're cheering for the Kraken.
Yeah, I think so. I guess that makes sense, right? Like you
want to be able to catch Edmonton. You're a point behind the Oilers right now for all my spot. If you consider your opportunities to win down the stretch with the schedule in your favor, you should be able to hold off the Seattle Kraken, who are 7 points back. That's not your. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're looking ahead. So you'd like the Kraken to do you a favor. At least that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should have your sights set on what's ahead of you, not what's behind you. And for the Golden Knights, they've got 2 games against Seattle as well. So you handle your business against Seattle. You don't have to worry about them catching you in any way, shape, or form.
That Detroit game important because the Red Wings are 2 points out of a playoff spot, and Ottawa Senators getting thumped tonight by a non-playoff team. They're 2 points out of a playoff spot. That's huge. And that Detroit Red Wing game against Pittsburgh Penguins right now in a playoff spot, but with the 4-point cushion on a postseason berth. Montreal and Tampa Bay. That game, if it goes the Canadiens' way in regulation, they'll get within 2 points of first place, trailing Buffalo and Tampa Bay. That's a wild race for the number 1 seed in the Atlantic.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, it felt like Buffalo's to lose for a while. It felt like Tampa's to lose for a while, and all of a sudden the Montreal Canadiens are right there. So it could go any direction. Any one of those teams can finish first, second, or third.
You're up to date. Back to wrap up the show next on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
That was One-Timers. Brought to you by Paul Pata Law. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery.
I'm on fire over here, lads. Come on, I need some back and forth. Come on, what do you got for me? What do you got for me? Now make it quick. Make it funny.
We're down to the wire. It's the last minute of play.
Hey, did you hear the promo for the Henderson Silver Knights game earlier in the show?
I've heard it multiple times, but yes, I did hear it earlier in the show.
Kind of had the feel, same type of vibe as your VGK promo.
No,
last week.
No, the vibe for mine was Carnival Simpsons Fair. This is very, very different.
No, it had the same vibe as in the uniqueness of it. Your music was The Simpsons, and the one that Jared voiced was total lounge music. He was in between songs, and he was just telling everybody that try the veal. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
enjoy the show tonight.
It was very Adam Sandler and The Wedding Singer for sure.
And he didn't say it that way, but the music gave it that feel.
Yeah, Jared, did you have no idea what the music was going to be? Because the read felt like you did.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I definitely just sort of read it neutral, and then once you put that music underneath it.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do. Would you like me to play it?
Yeah, play it.
The Henderson Silver Knights are making their playoff push, and it all resumes this weekend as the Knights host some birds from Tucson,
lounge music.
the Roadrunners. Friday night, the puck will drop just after 7 p.m., and on Saturday, let's move it an hour earlier and drop that puck just a hair after 6. So listen to Brian McCormick and Doug Latuca with the call of the game.
Scores!
From the Lee's Family Forum on 1230 The Game.
Actually, that sounds like you read it to that music.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
I did not.
So the production work is top notch, legitimately top notch.
They're in sync. At first I was so caught up in the background music.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was giving the feel, but Jared read it to that feeling.
I think it might have been slowed down.
In a lot of ways,
slowed it down because when I read it, it was only about 20 seconds, and it was 30 seconds when it played.
So they can just stretch out your voice.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we have the technology.
Sure. Ooh. Wow. Because it still sounds like you. It doesn't sound weird or like they slowed it down.
Wow.
Maybe that's how high pitched and fast I was going.
Didn't do that.
Well, no, there were a lot of pauses to get in some of the effects as well, so that might have been it. I don't think they slowed it down that much. I'd have to listen to the dry read, but I don't think
that's
it's been...
back-to-back promos with really unique music tracks.
Oh, 100%.
Like the Simpson one was like, I'll give him the production credit because that grabs you. That's just not a promo that just plays in the background.
No.
Either one of those.
No. You want to be there. I'll tell you that.
And on Saturday, we'll move an hour earlier. HSK, they're on a roll right now. They are going. We'll chat with Brian McCormick tomorrow on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Maybe we'll play that promo going into Brian McCormick.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to the VGK Insider Show on Fox Sports Las Vegas, your home of VGK Hockey.